Alright, welcome back. Hope everyone's having a lovely day, a lovely night, wherever you're from. And real quick, before we get started, I want to give a lovely shout out to the channel members on this channel. So thank you so much to these lovely commanders here that you see on screen. Thank you guys so much for your guys' constant generosity and support to me as always. It really means a lot to me, so thank you guys so much. And if you guys are actually interested in becoming a lovely commander yourself, if you are interested in any of these cute and lovely emotes, the loyalty crown badges, if you want a special role in the Discord, make sure to join the Discord. But as always, if you choose to do so, thank you so much. Just remember that's not the only way that you can support me. Just watching the content like you are right now is truly the best way. Liking, subscribing, and commenting, everything really does help. So thank you guys so much. And for today's video, after I did my amazing polls, by the way, if you didn't watch it, make sure you go watch it because that was some pretty damn good polls, I'll say. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I already had my Rappy incident of 2024, and now I already have my Mast incident of 2025, and it's barely gonna be February, so gonna look like a good year, honestly. Jokes aside though, I mean, this event has been pretty fun. I really like the mini game. I like the story. Like, I finished the first, the normal mode. Really loving the event, the story and everything, all the romance. Loving Mast, love Trony, love all the characters right now. It's been a really nice Valentine's Day event, and right now is kind of an interesting time, honestly, because this video is also gonna be a testing video for Mast. But at the same time, this is also part of my Should You Pull series. If you don't know, when it comes to, my Should You Pull, I always like to break it down in 3 categories. Talk about the income and the timing. I like to talk about the waifu aspect. And then I get down to the testing of everything, talk about the skills and stuff, recommendations and all that. So let's actually just get started. Let's actually break it down. Because when it comes with Mast right now, it's an interesting time. Because right now, we do have this event right now going on for Mast, and then we're going to get Anchor next week. But right after that, I think we're going into the collab for Ava. And it's going to be an interesting one because I think it's 2 units with a rerun, if I recall. I'm trying to remember if that's correct. And I'm not sure if it's going to be a 3-week event or if it's a 4-week event like the last one. We're honestly gonna have to find out because either way it's gonna be a long one, so get ready for that. But it's an interesting time because I honestly think that if you are someone who just really likes Mast or is really competitive, or you just like how she looks, obviously, then I think that's the only reason why you should be pulling. If you're like a free-to-play or low on resources or anything like that, I highly recommend skipping and just waiting for the collab for the limiteds, or even just saving for anything else you want. For me, I always go for everything, and I went for the Simp MLB with this, and it hurt my account. But yeah, if you're low on resources, I think you should just hold off, especially if you want to get the collabs, because, those are limited characters. These are just standard characters that will be added to the wish list. So just keep that in mind, because that's the problem, is that I know these look like really amazing units, but at the end of the day, they do go to the wish list. But I want you to remember that the wish list is never a guarantee. There's some people who are still trying to get some characters after a long time. Remember, it took me a long time to get the Killer Wife. So, your mileage may vary with your luck on the wish list. So just take that with what you will. In terms of the waifu, let's talk about it, because I think Mast is probably one of my favorite characters, and they just kind of upped that for me because she looks great, right? Like, fan service wise, I know some people were complaining that it's a little bit boring, but I really like it. It's my kind of thing. I really love the amount of latex, the pirate mixed with the maid theme. It's just really great. I love the romance aspect for her. The whole story, she's trying to be like this sexy, romantic pirate going on this adventure. It's been a fun time just seeing all the characters interact. It's been nice. But in terms of the character, how she looks is great. For me, I personally love how she looks. Her expression and all that. I know it's a different artist, but I really like it. I love how Morgan looks just weird. I love that look. And then you get this weird thing with the commander doll thing over here where it's in the barrel and stuff. I love it. It looks really cute. But I do love these added details here. It adds just a little bit more to the characters than just a plain 2D. I feel like that's a nice touch. In terms of the, the back pose, the normal pose is insane. Without even the JPS, you get the thighs, you get the booba. It's a crazy look and I love it a lot. Then you get the JPS and it's crazy. This is really good, just like her bikini outfit for her normal version of her character. It looks so good, dude. So if you're pulling because you like the fan service and that's it, I completely understand. Nothing wrong with that at all. But even if you like it and you're skipping because you want to, save for the limiteds, I understand that as well. It's kind of a tough call right now because we really don't know what else is going to happen. We already know the collab is happening, but after that, the 2.5 and stuff, hopefully we get more consistent fan service like this because this is really good and I love it. But at the same time, I want to see more tactical, sexy Elysians. Someone like Delta who looks really great. I want to see more units like that. But I still love these characters, don't get me wrong. Just like to see more tactical sexiness, you know what I mean? Now, in terms for the third aspect, when we're actually talking about Mast herself, it's kind of interesting right now, especially with talking about testing. We'll get to that in a little bit, but let's just break down her skills. Because once again, Shift Up made a really needed character. And what I mean by that is that I honestly think that minimum, I think you need to at least prioritize her skill 1 and her burst. Because this is where her damage and all that comes into. Now, if you like distributed damage for someone like Scarlet Black Shadow or Quincy or something like that, then I highly recommend making sure your skill 2 is also at 7. So if you like distributed damage to try to get that amplified damage boost, then you're honestly going to want to go 777. If you're not, then you could go 747. But I think that's probably where you should at least be. 10-10-10 to me is not worth it unless it's like a super OP unit, in my opinion. Especially with the amount of limited resources that we continue to get. Like, Shift Up pushes these type of units when we're running out of resources. So it's kind of frustrating at the same time that I always have to hoard my savings and then it all goes to waste again at the end. But as a character, when we're talking about her, she is kind of crazy because she actually does a decent amount of damage. But right now, what kind of screws her up is her drunken stacks. Now, if you forgot, she does have this like cute little status here where it can stack up to 3 times and her hit rate goes down a lot. And then she gets critical and attack though. So the problem with this is that we don't have Anchor because Anchor is specifically made for Mast. And what I mean by that is that you can't dispel it because you could dispel drunken status so she doesn't get stunned for 10 seconds. However, she loses her critical and her attack. So all of these things that she gains from drunken status, they disappear. However, if you have Anchor, she just takes off 1 stack so she doesn't even get to that stun. It's specifically made to be a combination. So it is a specific duo because it's just made for her. It's a little frustrating that it's another character where you feel like you really need a pull for them to make them shine. It kind of reminds me when Blanc and Noir first came out. And when Blanc came out, you realize that without Noir, she'd be a 60-second burst 2, which is insane. Well, if you add Noir, or now with Rouge, she's a 20-second, which is a W. So it really kind of makes you use 2 burst 2s with a team, which is not ideal. But if you like having random teams, especially just for like random comps and stuff at this point, then I don't think it's going to be that much of a big deal. But that's honestly like super endgame, right? I think she's going to be a great utility, especially for like solo raid or a mono element team for Union raid. We'll see her full potential with more distributed damage teams when we get Anchor next week. But that's just my ideas for the skills. In terms of equipment, honestly, so I actually went full simp and I just maxed her out. I gave her a lot of resources. Now I got lucky. I got 2 max ammo lines and I got a lot of hit rate, which is great because max ammo and hit rate are your priorities because of her drunken status. You want to get more hit rate so you don't really have to worry about that drunken status like percentage debuff that you get. But at the same time, you want to make sure you have some max ammo because she is an MG. So my biggest recommendation is to get at least 2 max ammo lines and use Bastion Cube. I feel like that's probably my idea of it. Now, you could also, you know, if you get lucky and you get some elemental damage, that's great too. But I think max ammo and hit rate are the priority for this type of character because of what she does. So it's a unique support. So I really like it. I know in the kit review and stuff, it was kind of like questionable, but for me, it's really interesting and it's just something that's kind of fun to mess with. I also gave her a doll that's just purple. It's just at phase 0. It's nothing special. So let's actually break it down and let's finally get to some testing. Because with testing, this is kind of interesting because we can only do like half testing because we don't really see the full potential. So what I want to do is honestly just show you the amplification she does for SBS. So let's actually go do that because what we're going to do right now is we're just going to do a blanket test because later all she does is just give great utility and buffs to the team. Holy is just going to give some attack to everybody, which is fine. SBS is going to do her thing. And we're just going to have Blanc and Noir here as just like a temporary basis. We would be using Anchor and like another distributed damage dealer, like, I don't know, 2B or Quincy. But we can't have that right now, so we're just doing this for now. So the only thing we're going to showcase is the difference for SBS on a team that she could get more damage in. And I went with Poli because I believe XN from the Discord, thank you, mentioned that they used it as just like a basis for comparison because they are a 40-second as well. And I thought that was a great idea, so let's actually just jump into it. And obviously this is going to be a full 3 minutes. This is going to be a long one. I'm not going to make you watch it. We just like to look at the damage comparisons. And especially since we're not using Mast right now, we're not going to, you know, talk about anything. So let's just leave it here for now. So I'll be right back. All right, so we're pretty much finishing right now. We're getting a final burst rotation in. And we're just going to look at the damage numbers and just get a good idea. because right now our only focus right now is honestly just seeing Scarlet Black Shadow, because she's close to 1.3 billion right now, which is nice. Everyone else is doing a decent amount. Obviously, it's nowhere near as good as SBS because SBS is just a powerhouse. She's insane. But right now, what we're going to do is actually do a comparison by just replacing Pulley with Mast. That's the only difference we're going to do. So we're just going to remember that she did 1.3 billion damage. And then we're going to see how much more she gets improved by having Mast here. And I've already told you what she had. So obviously my Pulley was just like 444. No overload gear. So she's not doing much, it's just to be a buffer. And right away, we're not actually going to like cut away as soon as we start, because what I want to do is actually break it down, because I want to talk about something real quick that we're not going to see her full potential right now for Mast. And that's why we're only comparing the SBS difference, because with her drunken stats that she actually gets, remember, she'll get stunned for 10 seconds. And throughout a boss fight like this, from all the rotations, total, she'll probably be stunned for 30 seconds, I think. So that's a really big difference, right? Because in those 30 seconds, she could just be dealing pure damage. So we'll have to see when we actually, get Anchor to see how much more she's going to do. So we won't know for a while, but for now, we're just going to see SBS. And we're not going to see the full thing. So we're going to cut away and we'll come back in a second. All right, so we're back and we just finished right now. Obviously, there is a difference, but we're going to see how much more. Remember that she was close to 1.3 billion. And the difference is almost 2 billion. She is almost at 2 billion because of Mast, and that's crazy. And Mast is actually doing almost 300 million damage, which is interesting. I want to see how much more she's going to be able to do once we get Anchor. But seeing almost like pretty much a 700 million increase is crazy. How much more that she does for Scarlet Black Shadow. It's kind of crazy how much like SBS is eating lately right after Mana 2. It's kind of nuts. It's going to be very promising. I think it's definitely going to be something a lot of people are going to be using in the raids going forward. It's just a matter of like how and when. I know this solo raid, they're probably going to utilize it, especially once we get Anchor. So it's going to be a fun one. But overall, I'm really impressed with Mast. I can't wait to see how she performs once we get Anchor. But I wanted to know what your guys' thoughts are on everything. Maybe you just enjoyed the event. Did you pull for her? Are you saving? Let me know what your guys' thoughts are. As always, that is going to be it for me, though. So I hope you guys have a lovely day, a lovely night, wherever you're from. And as always, thank you so much for the constant support. Take care, and have a good one.